I love it.
Yes, sir.
We got a great show for you guys tonight. I got the brother Q in here. Q gonna drop some bombs. He's gonna educate. He's gonna teach history. We're gonna do a lot of great things tonight, and I want to appreciate and shout out everyone who take the time out to comment, suggest, or say what you feel. Feel
Yes,
what you
sir. Here
say.
we go.
We here. We here.
You already know. You already know what time it is, man. Mm. Woo. Yes, sir.
Hey
It's
man.
good to be in the building. It's good to be in the building.
Right, right.
Turn on the light. Get some better
Hey
lighting.
man, have an amazing lineup. But you number one on the list right now. I said you've been doing some great things with your life, man. And you know what, man? Let's start the show, man. Let's start the show, man.
Let's get it. Let's get
Let's
it.
start the show. Let's start the show.
Let's do it.
Hey, hey, Q, man. Hey, man. I just want to point out to you, man.
Oh, the
You just
vibe.
fine.
He
You
got
want me
the
to keep going
tools.
for you?
He
You want
got
me
the
to keep going?
tools.
I got. Hey, no
I see
copyright
you.
infringements over here, bro.
No copyright infringement at
I'm sick
all.
and tired of social media platform, man, where they can just take us and shut us down and do what they want to do with us, man.
Yo, cause they be it's I'm convinced that only happened when people be reporting you though.
Man, listen, it's the copyright thing. First, we're going to talk about this socioeconomic thing, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
copyrights fall right into it. It
Yeah.
falls right into it, you know. And a lot of
Sure.
times we get on this platform, Facebook, and we think we're doing something, and we're really doing nothing. We get on Instagram, we get on whatever, Snapchat, X, all these different platforms, and we're doing nothing. We're not using it to benefit our families, ourselves, to not just make statements and talk and speak in emotional terms. We're not using it on financial levels. You know, we're not
Yeah.
using it on financial levels where you don't never. I never see my peers get on these platforms and speak about real estate. I don't see my peers speak about education. I don't see my peers speak about let's talk about business. Let's talk about FICO scores. Let's talk about business credit. Let's talk about these things, man. Grant writing, grants, what's grants available, social economics, man. And I don't want to say my people. I'm gonna get away from that. I'm gonna say my peers, the group that I grew up with, the group that we spend the night at each other's homes and play drums and karate fight and whatever else we did. I don't have a group of people that I can say I can pick up the phone and say we have this engagement to go to this weekend in regards to business structure, in regards to financial planning, in regards uh to wealth for our families and our children. I don't have that, bro.
Yeah.
So you know what? Before I go any deep, man, because you can see this is coming from the heart, man. It's coming from the soul. I
Yeah.
want you to introduce yourself, man, and then I'm gonna give a little snippet of what I know about you, man, and how long that I've known you and where you
Yeah, yeah.
came from, where you started. Go ahead, man. Introduce yourself, man.
Okay, good evening, folks. Good evening. My name is Minister Quadri Harris. I am a going into my third year PhD candidate at Temple University and the historic African American, Africology and African American Studies Department. We are the first and frankly only, hold on, there's an airplane going by.
Yeah. Go ahead. I hear you clearly.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm going into my third year as a PhD student at Temple's Africology and African American Studies Department. We are the first program of its kind, first PhD program in Africana Studies in the country, and we are the only Afrocentric department in the country, which means we use traditional African history and culture as an entry point to start discussing how we understand African and Black people's lives in the contemporary world. So that goes for any discussion we're having, right? Whether it be in politics, whether it be in socioeconomics, whether it be in religion. We're typically going to use traditional African culture as a way of interpreting. Mr. Sampson, you still there?
I'm here, man. I'm
Okay,
here.
cool, cool.
Yeah, when you don't see me, I'm fumbling around behind the scene, man,
All right,
because
cool, cool.
this African American man can't afford an engineer to be behind the scenes and do the work.
I ain't mad at you, brother. I ain't mad at you.
So
I hear that as well.
I have to get back here and fumble and be the engineer and make this thing happen, man, and make sure your mics is clear and the visual is good, man. On this end, if you don't mind me asking, man, what state and city are you in right now, Mr. Q?
So I am currently right now, I'm on break from school, so I'm back home in the Bronx, New York.
Okay,
Right by the Whitestone Bridge.
all right.
7 minutes from LaGuardia Airport, so that's why you hear the
How's the
airplanes
weather
going up
today?
and over.
How's the weather?
The weather is great, honestly, right now. We're looking at partly cloudy right over the Long Island Sound. So it's a real mellow summer night, not too muggy. It's real
Right.
breezy, actually, man. So that's why I figured I'd be outside,
Oh, okay.
chill, be in nature, since we talking
Right.
about economics and...
Right. Well, I'm in Charlotte, man, and the weather down here for the last couple of days has been about 80, 90 degrees.
Okay.
It's been really hot, and I've been hot and bothered the last couple of days, man. And I'm just going with the flow. Got to do what I have to do out here, man. I can't complain too much because if I don't get it done, it's not going to get done on my end. So I pretty much depend on myself, and and that falls into the category of social economics as well, where platform, man, it has so many benefits that we have to take advantage of. And one of the things that my goal to do is to get in touch with brothers like you that can bring. Hey, who's that in the background there?
Oh, that's Key.
That's your sister?
Mr. Sampson, yeah.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey,
What you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Look at you interrupting our show.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's all good, man. Hey, man, I love it, man. I love it. It's been so many years. I'm trying to put it together. What year it was when I last seen you guys at the Dole Center? Was that in 2010?
Nah, because 2000, it was before that. It had probably like 2006, yeah. Because it was definitely, yeah, it was before high school. I went into high school in 2006. And yeah, it was definitely before then.
Man, hey, man, it's a beautiful thing.
And you know how I know that is because when I went into high school and I started playing drums for my high school, I was so far ahead of everybody in the band.
Right. With rudiments.
Easily. Like they didn't know anything about a rudiment, so it was just like the hand speed. Wait, hold on. I gotta ask, like, yo, what type of? Nah. Okay, nah. I don't.
Here you go.
I'm about to say, like, what type of how to? Well, no, we can have that conversation about cannabis use later, but
Right.
Because that definitely got a lot to do with the socioeconomics as well. But anyway, yeah, it was two. I think it had to be before 2006.
Right. Was that your mother behind you?
Yes, it was.
It was?
Yes, it was.
Till I said this is like a little reunion going on here.
Right. Yo, Ma, Ray Sampson says what's up.
This is incredible. This is incredible.
Ray Sampson.
Get out of here.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, I'm here. I'm hanging in there. I found your son, made contact with him. We've been following each other, trolling each other for some time now. And I said, I want you to get on this podcast with me and let's talk about some socioeconomic things that's going on in this world today.
Okay. That sounds like right up his alley.
Right up his alley. I knew that. I knew I picked the right person.
Yes. How's the kids? They all
Everybody's
grown
doing
now.
very well. Everybody's doing very well. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Glad to
I
see you
am
moving
doing.
around. Glad to see you moving around.
Yep, doing
That's
well,
a
doing
that's a
well.
beautiful thing. But
Uh,
listen, I need to, I'm gonna get your number so I can talk to you. But I want to talk with Mr. Q for another
okay,
20, 30 minutes. He looked
sounds
like he
like a
want to have
plan.
some fun. And I want to have
Oh
some
yeah.
fun with him. And it was good speaking to you.
Good talking to you too. Good seeing you. Take it
Good
easy.
seeing you. Hey man, this is like a family reunion. You know, it's been a long time. It's been a long time.
Word up. Say
And
word.
and you know what? Speaking with you guys is making me feel like I really need to do an event where I can
Mm.
get everybody online from
Oh
that era.
sure. Oh sure.
That would be insane.
For sure. For
That would
sure.
be insane, man. And I think I could grab at least 10. At
Oh, that would
least.
be fire.
Oh yeah. And you know what? I still have drums.
Oh, that's wild.
I still have drums, man.
Oh man,
I
he
have
gonna make
basses,
people
I
come out
have
of retirement.
quint snares. I still have
Yeah.
a whole setup.
So and it's so one of the things that I study at Temple
Right,
is um the various ways in which we were able to keep our African cultures alive
right.
in light of the chattel slavery that we experienced in the hand of Europeans, right?
Okay,
And it's like the experience, multiple sources seem to indicate that the experiences of those of us in what would become the United States and North America, right? It's the drum was taken from us in a very intentional way
right,
in the slaves experience, right? So it's there is something that's very sacred about our people's culture and always has been about using that drum as a way to communicate, as a way to
right,
stay in contact with each other, as a way to get on one accord.
right,
You know, so yeah, that is it's powerful, and it's like that's what our roots in drum corps was in. You know what I mean? So like,
right,
and it's like that attunement to rhythm that we were able to hone in such intentional ways.
right.
Back in the Dole Center in Mount Vernon, I think it's stuck with me in multiple avenues of life.
So let me ask you this, man, because I didn't really want to make this conversation about me, man. I was trying to make it about you, but being that you went to the drum corps, what was your experience like with me as a middle school? You was in middle school, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What was your experience with me at the time, man? Like, what was your perception of me as the director, as a teacher, as a student in that facet?
Yeah, so it's like thinking back to it now, there's just like the instruction that we're receiving from public and even private schools
Right,
about music
right.
is drastically different than what we were receiving with you at the Dole Center.
Is that good or bad?
It's I think it's before I say whether it's good or bad, I'm gonna just talk to the fact about what it is. It's like
Okay,
in the public school settings and in the private school settings,
right.
with the exception of I think 1 year or 2 years in while I was at Davis,
Mhm.
my primary music instructors in band class were white men.
Okay,
And this is indicative of the education of black children in this country, right?
right,
Our
right,
teachers are typically white women and white men,
right.
right?
Right,
And it's like musically, right? Like we study this thing at Temple about it's called the two cradle theory.
right,
And it's what they're effectively saying is the way that we developed evolutionarily, right? It's African music took one direction and European music took another direction, right? So it's like almost instinctively how black and African children, even after hundreds of years of chattel and slavery, right? It comes instinctively to us to clap on the beat. Like The way Jeremiah Wright put it in the sermon was he starts singing in the congregation. It's like, glory, glory, hallelujah. Did I click the? All right. This technology is crazy, right? So it's just like,
That's the signal, man. That's singing right there. I think that's a no-go.
yeah, no, yeah, right, exactly. Don't sing, but I still got rhythm, right? So it's like
Right.
we know how to clap on the downbeat, right? Like that's what we do, and it's our music has reflected that for years.
Right.
European music is in many ways the exact opposite, right? Where it's not as polyrhythmic, it's more 1, 2, 3, 4 on that typical marching cadence that we see associated with European classical music, right? So I think
Correct.
like on a fundamental level, what we were receiving from you as a black band director in the Dole Center was attunement to like African-esque polyrhythmic music, especially being centered around the drums,
Right.
right? It was very like attuned to our culture. It was hip hop, it
It
was
was in
jazz,
your
it was
soul, man.
right, right, right. And that's what I'm saying. It was like it was an experience of where like y'all were pulling things out of us and
Right.
cultivating things that were already there, as
Okay.
opposed to what we typically got with, at least from my experience, with the music training that we were doing in public and private schools.
Right.
That it didn't come as natural.
Okay. Wow.
Had to because it's not a matter of like effort as far like because like they love putting these narratives on us that black people are lazy. So it's not that we didn't have to work hard with the music that we were playing in the Dole Center because God knows we did.
Right.
But it was more so like that type of work came more natural than it's when we're engulfed in our own culture.
Right. I agree.
These things become less tedious and become less of a chore, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely what I remember of like the juxtaposition of the music training that I was getting in both spaces.
So, and to go a little bit deeper, me as a person, was I harsh? Was I harsh on you? Was I even killed? Was I fair?
Yeah, so I didn't think you were harsh at all, but I don't want to I don't want to curse on the platform, but it's
Uh
but it's like niggas knew not to play with you. Like,
oh. Come on, man. Hey, you know,
and I don't think there's anything wrong with that though, honestly, because it's um it, there's a lost art of that in our communities
Yeah,
these days.
yeah,
Um, where it's black men need to be black men
right,
and need to have a certain level of authority in our communities. And of course, it needs to happen within a communal dynamic, right? It doesn't need to be an abuse of an ego or a power
right,
dynamic. But we
right.
still need to make space for black men to be black men in our communities,
Okay,
100%. And it's like that's a village effort. It can't, just be a matter of isolation within individual family units. It's like these things are supposed to happen collectively within communal dynamics. And that's exactly what the Dole Center was, right? It was a community center
right.
in the south side of Mount Vernon. Like that's
But you know what I've learned over the years, man. Um, Today and through my journey and experiences, that so much more could have happened. But
yeah,
at that time, I was only able to give what I can give at that time.
sure. Sure.
You know, so with maturity and growth, accountability, and my responsibility at this time, man, I look back, I would do a lot of things different. I would do a lot of things different. one of the things I took with me, man, the way I gained some respect, I took the drum corps to Greenberg. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
And when I got to Greenberg, man, that was a fight, bro.
Yeah.
Because I had kids from other communities. It wasn't just Mount Vernon. I had the Bronx, I had White
Yeah.
Plains. I
Yeah.
had kids coming in from everywhere. I had about 75 kids.
Okay.
And it was amazing. But to get to that, like how you said, nobody would mess with me, to get to the point of respect, I
Mhm.
took my entire drum line, bro. Some people used to tell me, were you ever in the military? Were you a Marine? Were you a drill sergeant, man? Like, dog, my niche was push-ups. My niche was push-ups and pull-ups.
Yeah.
So I took this entire drum line, and they had some kids, man, 16-year-olds that were bigger than me, bro. So they would bully the other kids, but I didn't, tolerate it. So what I did with these kids, man, I lined them all up, and I said, "This is what we're gonna do. Each one of y'all gonna line up, and I'm going to do 5 push-ups, you on my back, and I'm gonna go down the entire drum line. And then y'all gonna go in order who wants to go after me.
Yeah.
Whoever completes it is the one everyone have to listen to. Bro, if you can't do that, and I did every push-up on my knuckles, man.
Yeah.
I went through the whole entire line right to the big boys, man. And I squeezed it out and got it done. And when I put the hard heads up first, they couldn't get it. Nobody can get past 3 and 4. It was like about 10, 12 kids in the line, and they couldn't get past 3 and 4. So I developed this level of respect from that day. And I can't, to this day, when I look back, I said to myself, what the hell was I thinking?
That's funny. That's funny.
You know what I'm saying?
That's real rap.
I did it, and it worked out. And all I wanted to do was compete with the naysayers that said that we couldn't do it, that we couldn't accomplish it, that we couldn't get anywhere. And I just wanted the kids to be there. I didn't get the opportunity to go to the places that I was able to achieve to get the kids to go to. So that was like a goal for me, man, because I got so fed up, like you said, letting a black man, or letting a father be a father, letting a black man be a black man, to have the opportunity and have the platform to show kids that come from a poverty-stricken structure, to show they have more talent than the kids that have the fancy drums and the buses and everything else, man, the facilities, and we were outplaying all of them. And
Absolutely.
it was a story, man. It should be a movie,
Yeah.
It was a story, man, because I remember going to you guys tournament, and I think it was in Castle Hill.
Oh yeah.
You had a tournament down there. Was it at Kips? No, it was up the street from Kips Bay.
Yeah, at the Castle Hill Community Center.
Yeah, I remember going to that event, man. And I think we even drummed. You guys was drumming down
Yeah,
there.
we
And you
definitely
did,
was. Yeah.
yeah, y'all did an exhibition. I don't know how that came about. Don't even ask me. I don't even know, but it happened. I don't know if your mom was the ringleader of that. Somebody was the ringleader of that. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's what you want to do. Let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And we went down there and made it happen, man. But I remember you being involved in the arts, that your mom kept you guys busy. And how far did you go in the martial arts?
So I got promoted to black belt when I was 16, and then I got my first degree on my black belt when I think I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you traveling around like AAU doing tournaments and stuff like that?
Yeah. Most of that. It's funny you compare it to the AAU. I guess it is kind of like that. Yeah, we were
Yes.
definitely traveling
Yeah.
all around the country, competing on the national circuit, fighting, katas, weapons, competition,
Right.
point
I
fighting,
remember
team fighting.
I remember
Um,
when your parents, man, was serious with you with that, man, with both with y'all. and I remember that you missed a lot of practice, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
had to get to the events, man.
Hey, man, it was juggling a lot of things.
Right, but it's all good, man, because the product that you became today, I'm very proud of that I was able to touch base with you as a youth,
Oh, yeah,
and
100.
see
100.
your growth and development of where you at today. And I visited Mount Vernon some time ago, and I don't remember the kid's name. He's a young man now. I don't remember his name, but I was in a Jamaican restaurant, and he rolled up on me. And some people say I look different because I got the beard. I'm incognito. The hair is to the ground. I'm trying to look like a dad. I'm trying to look different. So the dude came up to me. He was like, "You Samson?" And I said, "Yeah." Yeah, he was like, "You?" I said, "Yeah, that's me. What's up?" I thought he had beef with me or something. I'm like, "What's
I'm
up?"
weak. I can't. I can't.
He said, "You don't remember me from the drum line?" And I said, "Oh yeah." I didn't remember
I'm
him,
weak.
man.
I can't. I can't.
I did. He must have been. Like football, you have star players. Basketball, you have star players, and then you have certain players that take the back seat. It is
Yeah.
so true. In anything, man, anything that you involved, it could be karate.
Yeah.
You have kids that take the back seat. Then you have kids you have stars. You have your LeBrons, your Michael Jordans, your Michael Jacksons. That's on the front. I remember you guys because y'all were stars. You know, your sister was a star. You was a star. You had an attitude. You didn't care. You wasn't taking no jump. Whatever. We're gonna do this or not. I remember. I remember that. So you left a niche or a mark
Yeah.
on me with who you were, and it showed improve itself to who you are today. Like your mom
Oh,
just
for
said,
sure.
the right one. I said, I know, I know. What you doing now? I don't care. I'm not gonna say I don't care. I respect all the degrees you have, doctorates, PhDs, masters, bachelors, associates, GED. I don't care, bro. When you were young, the behavior that you represent today as a young man, you had the same behavior as you, bro.
It's fun. You said it,
You're
and
not far away from. You're
yeah,
not far away from the footsteps that you were walking.
100. I appreciate that, man.
You're not far away from that. This is not like you just woke up today and say, "I want to do Black American studies, Black African studies." You didn't just no, that didn't happen. So you haven't spoken to me in years. Years. You said 2006?
Yeah.
Come on, man. I lost count.
Yeah.
We talking like we spoke yesterday.
Yeah.
We, we haven't, you know.
Yeah.
But that's all good, man. So let's get to some things, man. Let's get to some
Please.
things.
Please.
So so what's your views on social economics, man? I'm just gonna leave it right there. I'm not gonna lead you. I'm just gonna put it right there on the table. What is your views on social economics?
So social economics, it's like, and again, like I'm really attuned to using traditional African culture to enter into these conversations, right? So it's like
Let's go.
socioeconomics has to begin with the conversation about what the African family is, right? That's the dynamics between our mothers, the
Structure.
dynamics between our fathers,
Structure.
um, to put the children first, really, and to provide for children to make sure effectively that they are able to live better lives than their parents lived. Like that's a African ideal that we strive for, right? Like
Right.
what that looks like is cooperative economics as far as like understanding that everyone has a role to play in bettering the family, and that extends to the larger ethnic group, which extends to the nation, right? So then it becomes a ideal that permeates not only just families but larger communities, right?
Right.
What does that look like for us today in America, right? It's like those. those principles of being able to pull our money in a way, because it's like, yes, we absolutely have to have money, right? We
Right.
people got to work. We got to be able to um, participate and benefit from a capitalist regime, because it's like we live in the Western world. This is a culture that's typically dictated by individualistic
Right.
ideals. Is go out and get what's right for you, disregarding your family members and their ambitions and stuff like that. It's we typically are taught to view ourselves in an isolated one-on-one social dynamics, right?
Right. Facts.
That's a countercultural reality than what traditional African culture is, where you don't exist as an individual outside of your family dynamic. It's just not a thing. So when we're talking about things like that, it's I think the easiest one for me to point to right now, especially like I'm 32 years old.
Right.
I was a school teacher for 4 years, doing
Okay.
pretty well for myself.
Where did you teach at? I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me
Oh no,
stop you
no,
right
all
there.
means. So
Okay. Where did
I first taught at Cardinal Spellman High School in
Okay.
the Northeast Bronx, where I
Yeah.
graduated from.
That's over there by Baychester. No. That's
Yeah,
down there
yeah,
by
yeah,
Baychester.
Manchester. Absolutely,
Okay. Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
And I taught there for a year. And after being, and again, this is a high school that I graduated from. I
Okay.
taught there for a year. After the first 2 months of teaching there, I knew it was going to be my only year.
Wow. What were you teaching there?
I was teaching global history because after graduating from Yale Divinity School, because
Yes.
I was not a Irish or Italian Catholic, I was told I was unqualified to teach in the religion department.
What?
So so the settlement was I'll teach history. Yeah.
So what did you make a lawsuit out of that or no?
No, of course not. I went and taught history, and frankly went there and engaged in which started off as I think civil conversations with the religion department
Right.
about how what they did was a clear indication of racial discrimination.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, it was microaggressions like that. After the first 2 months of being there, I realized, no, I'm not coming back.
So
Uh,
okay, so did you sign up for that? Was it like did you sign up for that global studies or you went there and just filled out an application and let them stick you where they want to stick you at?
so it was one of those things where, and a lot of these institutions function on a lot of nepotism, right? So it was, I had worked there previously.
Are you serious?
Sure, yeah.
Wow.
I worked
Go
there
ahead.
previously.
Yeah.
I'm an alum of the school. I've
Right,
kept
right,
good relations with the community. So the job was, I actually left the job to go teach there. The job
right.
was offered to me while I was having I think just a catch up dinner with the principal.
So that's what I was about to ask you. Is that a principal, a head of school, a dean of school?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
The
it's
person in question at the time was both principal and president of the school. So he's the chief
okay,
academic and also chief fundraiser for the institution. So
okay,
he
okay.
offers me the job.
Yes,
Um, I'm first under the impression that the job is to teach in the religion department.
right.
Because I'm not going to call what they're doing their theology. I think it's actually idolatry, but that's a different conversation. So I'm under the
Hold on.
impression
Let me get my Google up on the screen real quick.
I'm dead. I'm dead. So I talked with him. I'm thinking, okay, this is for a position in the religion department.
Right,
And then he gets back to me probably a week or so later telling me that the priest in the school, and I know exactly who the priest is,
right.
doesn't think it's appropriate for me to teach in the religion department at a Catholic school.
What?
Yeah.
Man.
So
And you
after
don't have
going
no
back,
law friends? You don't have no law friends?
oh no. So it's like 100%. I know plenty of lawyers, like, of
This
course,
is
but
serious, bro. I like stuff like this.
so it's like the lawsuit ultimately, these type of lawsuits typically go up a dead end because the way they get around,
Oh
which
man.
is what we would think are like obvious
Right,
discrimination suits off of race, religion discrimination, is that they're a private institution
right,
that has certain semblances of religious freedom
right.
under the Constitution of the United States. And it's like, these are where the nuances really get into play. And I'm saying this as a Christian minister.
Right.
Christianity is the religion that is synonymous with Western imperialism and colonialism.
Uh-oh, here we
So
go.
it's like Christians are going to be allowed to, on a day-to-day basis, exercise a certain amount of religious discrimination in ways that Muslims, I'm gonna, that's a, so let's just say other religions are not going to be able to,
Okay.
because it's like the original colonizers of this land
Right, right, right,
were Protestant and Catholic Christians. No getting around
right.
it. No getting around it. So it's like, even if I could have pursued the lawsuit, it probably would have been more expensive than
Of course.
getting their money to teach global history, which I did for a year.
Of course. Let me just sidebar real quick.
Yeah,
I
please.
ran through I ran into a situation with Raymond.
Yeah,
He was going to York Prep,
yeah,
and tuition at that school at the time is an independent selective school,
yeah,
and the tuition at that school at that time was like 36,000 a year.
yeah,
And I ran into some hardships where I couldn't afford to pay the tuition.
yeah,
Right? So being that I ran into the hardships, I tried to tap dance my way around. Be patient with me. I'll get the money. Be patient. Be patient. They were like, "Nah, come get your boy. He's at the front door,
yeah,
waiting for you to pick him up." This kid was on the dean's list. This kid was AP classes. This kid was he got a academic scholarship to go to Tuskegee. You know what I'm saying? A full ride academic because of his GPA. He was on top of things at the time, right? So I took him over to Mount St. Michael.
yeah,
Mount St. Michael tuition at the time was 14,000. So the money that they didn't want to take from me because I didn't have the 36, I took it over to Mount St. Michael, man, and which was a Catholic school. And I'm not Catholic. I'm not into that stuff. But I was after the education, and I'm just co-signing what you're saying because I witnessed other families outside of being black, um, where they would raise the money and help that child stay in that school. They would do the funding like scholarship money, or somebody would award that child the money so they could stay in the school, man. And here it is, this dude, man, to be so brilliant that they was like, we don't care about him being brilliant.
right, right,
Get him out of here.
right.
We don't
And,
want him here.
and yeah, and it's always going to boil down to dollars and cents for us in this country, and it's like we have to find a way to navigate those realities without making them our truth.
And and
Um,
and it went to the family structure, which you mentioned earlier, where my ex-wife, her mindset was only the Joneses.
yeah, yeah,
He got to be there. It
yeah,
wasn't the plight of what they were doing, humiliating our family. We got to figure out how to get him back in there.
yeah, 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 and
Bruh.
it's crazy. I'm so glad you shared that, seriously, brother, because so a few things that I would say I feel like that relate directly to this story is that the cooperative economics that I'm living right now is I was teaching at Spelman. I left after a year. I go start teaching at a charter school in
Okay.
Connecticut.
Okay.
and it's paying really well, but the education that they're actually providing for the children is the worst thing that I've seen in my professional career.
Talk about it. Give me a
It's
taste. Give me a little taste of it.
Sure, it's like the epitome of. I always like to give book recommendations, like classic text, "The Miseducation of the Negro" by Carter G. Woodson. Right,
Oh wow.
this is one of those books that every black person, I'll start there, but frankly, every non-white person in America should read, because
Right.
it's like we often like to buy into this idea that the education system in this country is failing our children.
Right. Right.
Woodson's
Right.
classic text challenges that narrative to make us think that the education system is doing what it's exactly meant to do, training black and brown kids away from their indigenous culture and away from their indigenous history, and ultimately to be the second and third class workers of this capitalistic system, right? So it's
Facts.
like they're educated in a way where they're semi and sometimes illiterate, right? So now it's not only are you forcing them to speak the colonizer's language, you're forcing them to speak a reductionized version of the language that locks them out of the higher paying jobs in society,
I
right?
call it trick knowledge.
Pardon me?
I call it trick knowledge.
100%. 100%. Like, it's a sham.
It's a big shame. I had a big conversation with a friend of mine, and he was telling me that this white guy went to his house. He's supposed to change the refrigerator, and the refrigerator fell. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, he said the refrigerator fell, right? And the point of the matter, he said to my friend, "Aren't you renting this house?" And my friend said, "What does that matter?" And he said, "Oh, I thought you owned it." He said, "Don't you know majority of the people that tell you that they own the house, they're actually financing it until the house is paid off with a deed."
Mm,
But the trick knowledge to that factor, a lot of people say they own their homes and the bank own the homes.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
get caught up in this mortgage thing. We get caught up in these agreements, and we think we have the prize. And the minute we drop the ball, we lose, and we're embarrassed. And we invest, which we think is so much equity into a home, and the banks have us by
hmm hmm
straight us, just choking us.
yeah,
And a lot of people are so caught into this trickery, man,
yeah,
where instead of saying, that you own the home or you own the car, you're financing it. You're financing it. You know what I'm saying, brother? And it's so, and that's on that social economic platform that a lot of people are so they're aware, but they're blind to it, bro.
yeah,
Because like you said, what's taught in school,
yeah,
we're taught to believe, you know, once we have the good credit,
yeah,
we are to buy certain things. And while we purchasing these things, we're still being owned
yeah,
because our money have to go there. So
yeah,
we're killing each other to
yeah,
put our money there. It ain't to your bank, it ain't to my bank, it ain't to my family's bank. You know,
yeah,
bro, it's sad.
yeah. And it's like what was so sad, everything you just said. I was in a situation where it was before, during, and directly after COVID, where
Yeah,
I'm coming face to face with everything that you're describing on a day-to-day basis. It's like I'm the from my vantage point, it's I'm one of the highest paid teachers in the building at the time,
right,
building up my credit, building up my savings,
right,
watching a model of, like, it was crazy. Like, there was a very structured format and formula for how young people like myself that were coming either out of college or out of grad school. Like I was coming out of grad school from Yale, so I was able to, throw that around a little bit to get some more money out of it, right? But it's like you got young people coming out of college or grad school. You put
Right.
in 4 or 5 years here, rise up the corporate ladder. You're
Right.
likely to find your spouse in
Oh man. Right.
this setting,
Right. Let's
right?
go.
Y'all combine y'all salaries, y'all get fancy cars and a house out in the suburbs,
Right.
and then you go teach in the suburbs and leave all of this ghetto shit behind.
Right. 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 Right.
Like I was watching people do it
Oh yeah. That's the dream.
actively, like right. It's like
That's the dream.
100%. And it really it became a dilemma. Like you talk about black men being black men. Like there were times where it was hard for me to look myself in the mirror each morning, realizing with I tried to make sure that the classroom experience that I was providing as a teacher was
Right.
different from my students than what they was getting in the rest of the school.
Right.
But there's only so far that that's going to be able to go when you don't have the institutional support that's in alignment with the vision that we're trying to recreate. And this is what I'm talking about, like needing to root ourselves and ground ourselves in like classical text and literature, because a lot of times what happens was like the principal of the school that I was at was another under 40s black man
Right.
with decent levels of education, frat brother of mine actually.
Right.
And
Right.
it's like so many times we think that we are doing things that are benefiting our children both economically and educationally, right? Because it's
Right.
like the narrative that we typically buy into is like education is our passport to the future. Like a good education is the way to overcome
Right.
the poverty that it seems like these day-to-day patterns and cycles for black and brown people is meant to lock us into, right? And it's like
Right.
that's only true to a certain extent.
Right.
Because again, if we are not grounding ourselves in a nuanced understanding of classical literature and our classical culture,
Hmm.
we are going to recreate these educational cycles, or what Woodson calls these miseducational cycles,
Right.
that are graduating our kids from high school knowing that they can't read,
Right.
whether it be the colonizer's language or even fluently in their own
Facts.
African America standard vernacular. They're
Facts.
illiterate in both, have trouble writing both, have trouble thinking and conceptualizing in both fluently, right?
Right.
So it's like, what are they really going to do to overcome these poverty circumstances?
Right. Right. Right.
Especially if we don't have the infrastructure in place in our communities where we
That's
can sustain them collectively, right?
the
I
most
tell you
difficult
what,
there, Q.
100%.
That's the infrastructure, like you said, it is the most difficult part. Let me tell you something, man.
Please.
Regardless of all the education that I had, right? And I really don't want to make this about me, but I have to use me as an example because it's facts. I have receipts. I did federal time. Okay. I started messing around with their infrastructures, man, their banks, their math, and they consider me to be a terrorist to them. I'm from the hood. I couldn't take it no more. I needed a better way for my family. And the education I had to be a sociology major, to be involved in social work, etc., was no money for me. It
Yeah.
wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a no-brainer. Today, currently, I'm able to survive off, I'm a general contractor, right? But I'm able to survive off of cutting trees, bro, and clearing the land.
Yeah.
Next level. When I say next level, you wouldn't even believe what I can do. That's a whole nother topic. But the people, a lot of people that I grew up with, like you just said, man, I don't want to say they ostracized or they just been caught into this realm of education, which they stuck. I proved that even with the education I have, and even with having the felony, that I can do better
Yeah.
because it forced me into a position. It forced me with my back up against the wall to understand things differently and see things differently. So I have to, the rat race, I work around.
Yeah.
I don't run on that Ferris wheel,
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
I don't run on that Ferris wheel. That's what makes
Yeah.
me different. People say to
And
me, why you don't do the podcast every day, man? Because a lot of people follow you, man. You're very funny. You and your son, you got a lot of interesting things going on. I'd be like, bro, I'm not wasting my time there. That's one. If you take Memorial Field Stadium, right, and you take all the people in that 4 square mile and you put them in the pit of that stadium on the field, right? You put them on the field. You take Mark Zuckerberg and you take him to the top stand. Mark Zuckerberg will bring in all his corporate vendors and they looking around on the field to say, okay, Q and Samson, they like drums. Okay, Bobby and Craig over there, they like rap music. Oh, Joe and Sam, they like big butts. Okay, I'll take Joe and Sam. I'm going to pay this amount because they're going to watch what I'm advertising to them. And everybody use this platform for these emotional
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to say mental awareness, but it's just emotional pit.
Yeah.
You know, they don't use it for monetary. When they hear the word I'm monetized, it's more buffoonery and trickery
Yeah.
because you're really not making the money. You're still in the bullshit. You're not getting paid, and that's why I don't entertain on their schedule. So
Yeah.
when I go live, like with you tonight, and I appreciate it. When I go live, if they're watching now, they can see it now, but it'll be around later.
Yeah.
It'll be on the records, bro. I'm there and I'm gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
can't play this game because, bro, if we're not having supporters, you know, I noticed you say, you know, the people and like I really run away from the our people because I've been hurt so much. You know, I've been hurt so much, and I watch how people don't come together. You
Yeah.
know, and I like to vet people before I call people my people. I want to vet. I'm gonna check your history. I'm gonna check out who you are as a person, and deal with your actions. I don't care what you say to me. You know, loyalty comes a different language, like you said, the classical language. I hear that airplane. Is that an
Yeah.
airplane I hear?
Yes, it is.
I'm like, what is that, man? So loyalty to me runs different with me, man. And when you have so many people that let you down, so many people that don't understand the plight of growth and development, you know, no matter that we came from uh, a neighborhood where what's the old saying, crabs in a bucket.
Yeah.
Everybody's pulling each other
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
You know, I watch successful people go through that town. And to when I go through the town now, not to be disrespectful, it reminds me of Beirut. It reminds me of cities that I see that are under siege, that are in war. It where people just don't care. They say they care. They say they care. But if I see you drinking and I see you, you know, doing things that's diminishing it, diminishing your temple, you're killing yourself inside in due time, bro. You know, a lot of things we do, but I'm gonna stop right there because that's a whole nother topic. I'm gonna stop right there.
So like um it's a few things, right? And I hear you what you're about saying, like not claiming everyone as our people, because like the truth of the matter is all people that are I'll keep it PG, right? All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Facts.
everybody that look like us don't have our best interest at heart. And I guess where I will be optimistic is by saying there is a long record of African history of dark skinned dark skinned curly haired people being brainwashed to go against our own communal interest,
Oh man.
right? Being
Oh,
brainwashed in a way to live in under rules and under values that prioritizes the individual over the family, that prioritizes the secular over the sacred, that prioritizes
right.
uh, dominance over cooperation. Like
Oh man.
these are all things that there's a record of our skin folk being convinced by outsiders to go against, right? And there's a
Facts.
lot of that still going on today, 100%, right? How do we deal with those things? I mean, it's like collectively, economically, I'll tell you, like, here's one of the things that I'm doing, right? So, and I'll relate it back to the school system as well, since I brought up the miseducation, right? It's
Right.
when I knew that I had to leave that school setting for multiple reasons, and the biggest one was um, the job was terrible for my mental health. And because it was like I could no longer convince myself, let me let the plane pass. I told you, it was effectively a moral dilemma every day going into work. And
Right.
I could no longer convince myself that the work I was doing in my classroom was more beneficial than the overall output of what's coming out of the school and from the institution.
Right.
Right. So when I knew that was the case, I knew it was time to leave. It was a few decisions that need to be made here. It's I need to make a commitment to educate myself the right way
Right.
if I'm going to do something about this hell that's happening here.
Mm.
And it's not unique here. Like it's
Right.
happening all over the country, right? But if we are
Exactly.
actually going to do something about it, I don't have all of the tools to do it right now.
That's a reality, man, because as far as having the education, uh which you said earlier, which was very impactful, the infrastructure. We don't have the money, we don't have the army, we don't have anything. No matter what we may do today, we're still going to be the poor people that want to do an uprising. And I don't want to say uprising, I don't want to use those words, but no matter how much we educate ourselves, they will always have the upper hand with tools.
So and
The
so it's
tools, like you
yeah.
said, like what you said in the school system. If you would have fought that situation that you was dealing with, you knew they would have dragged you. They would have dragged you
They would
beyond
have
your
outspent
body
me.
can handle.
They would have outspent me.
Right. And you know, I don't want to say the older that I get that that I'm tired, or the reality is how much can you really do?
Yeah, so yeah, and so to that point, right? It's the way I decided to handle it was a few things. It's I used most of the money and most of the credit that I was able to accumulate
Right,
working within that school system to invest it back into educating myself the right way. And
right,
part of that was like I'll tell you low key right now, it's I was doing research on the company dime and on the company dollar of figuring out where my next move was. Like they're calling that
wow,
the phenomenon of what silent quitting or
yeah.
whatever the case may be. And like part
Are
of
you
that actually taking my time to figure those things out was realizing, frankly, that there was no place frankly, in the world that could educate me the way that I need to be educated, other than the Africology department at Temple University.
Wow.
And the reason I say that is because it specializes. Like what we are studying at the graduate program there is it specializes in all of the things that culturally,
Right.
spiritually, psychologically, chattel slavery was attempting to take from us as African people.
Right.
And it's like those are those like fundamental values of knowing who we are,
Right.
knowing how traditionally we approach dealing with economic problems, how we
Right.
approach dealing with socioeconomic problems. It's like we don't just get to, or we shouldn't, I don't think, just make up out of thin air
Right.
how we are going to tackle these things. Like there is a at least a historical blueprint that we can familiarize ourselves to deal with these things, right? So like we're dealing with um like because I know you mentioned and this comes up a lot of times, especially like my vocation as a minister.
Right.
Um
Why do you say
and
that comes up a lot of times?
because it's like I'm a black Christian minister from humble beginning. Like I grew up in the hood, and in the hood specifically, we see this constant battle of trying to keep elements of our selves alive, but still having to navigate dealing with colonial authorities because they're primarily providing the check that allows us to get by on a day-to-day basis, right?
Okay. And
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 I'll
you
hold on one second because the point I'm really trying to make is about our relationship towards alcohol, and I'll just leave it with cannabis for now, but drugs specific, any broadly, right? It's our relationship to alcohol and drugs is definitely one of the things that often comes into fire when we're talking about black people doing things like escaping poverty and along those natures, right? And it's like I think we really need to deal with is in traditional culture, it we typically see, I'll just call it like substances harnessed in a way to enhance spiritual activities, joyful activities, music activities, right? Like you typically see these things, and I think the best, like the closest example, like we can really speak to it of it, and outside of like the indigenous American culture, but also
mm,
like what we often see with maroon cultures of those Africans that were able to escape off into the mountains and not be as subject to chattel slavery, like Rastafarianism in Jamaica, or even the Shango Baptist Church in places like Trinidad,
mm,
are examples of people like using ganja as a way to enhance spiritual ceremonies and things like that. Like when these substances are being used and cultivated in communal spiritual settings, they take on a much different aura than when we are using them in a colonial context to cope with psychological pain, anxiety, suffering as escapism, right? And then I do think a lot of times, yeah, 100%, like we see a lot of black people in poor ghettos using alcohol and drugs as a way to not take responsibility for the ways in which, like you said, we are exercising those crab in the barrel, self-destructive tendencies and things like that, right? So it's like we definitely need to find a way to educate, like re-educate ourselves
right.
away from these toxic habits,
Right.
while at the same time, I think not shaming people for falling into the habits because it's really not their fault, and then also realizing there are more responsible ways to leverage these things, if that
Well,
makes
let
sense.
me add to that. Let me add to that because you said a couple of facts there. But as far as falling into a habit, when
Yeah,
you said earlier about the miseducation,
yeah,
when people are miseducated and they follow, and they continue to follow. So you brought up Rastafarian, ganja, etc.
Yeah.
During that time, the cannabis was grown on, I don't want to say sacred ground, but they were farmed by the people. What's happening today when it comes to all these different brands, we can do wordplay of branding these different types of cannabis, is not being grown by the people.
Sure, 100%. I think like what's going on is
wait a minute, hold on. So the chemicals that are involved in this war, we are at war. Whether we want to believe it or not, we are at war, and we die a slow death. We have a high percentage of diabetes in the Black community. We have a high percentage of kidney failure. We have a high percentage of lupus. We have a high percentage of cancer. When we look at all these different things and why, what substances that people are utilizing that are killing them off on their own. So I wouldn't use shaming someone, because they say the old saying is if you knew better, you do better. So if you're smoking cigarettes and you know cigarettes, the nicotine in the cigarettes can cause cancer, throat cancer, or whatever kind of cancer it is, why would you continue to smoke? If you know alcohol could deteriorate the kidney. I just lost my dad. He was on dialysis and he was a drinker years ago. So when you start dealing with these different toxins that's destroying and attacking different parts of the body. I like that movie Osmosis Jones. You ever watch that?
Mm-hmm.
I love that cartoon with Chris Rock and everything, because I love the settings and how it was set up. And the reality of, we could think of every excuse to say that, I'm going to be okay. I can do certain things because I know I'm going to be okay. I'm only doing a little bit because this is how I feel right now. We're not making our own moonshine. We're not making our own, taking the fruits and making it ourselves. We're depending on who? I don't know, but we're depending. We're depending on whoever to do whatever. And if we was at war, the people that's using these different things are going to be the first one to go, because they're not being more wise to what they're putting in their system. Now, one more thing, and I'm gonna let you go. The food we eat, it has toxins in there. The stuff we put in our skin, in our hair, it don't just have to be the cannabis or the alcohol. The clothes we put on, the dye, it don't just have to be the cannabis or the alcohol. I used to tell people, what's the difference of a crackhead that take care of their children versus a man that makes $100,000 who don't take care of their children? What's the difference? So what's the difference of someone that drink alcohol versus someone that drinks one of those energy drinks with all the sugar in it? When my mother when she had diabetes, well, she still have it, she was having these not sugar fits, but she wanted to drink Pepsi. So I did the research on Pepsi, right? And I found out that, let's say, a 16-ounce can of Pepsi had 54 grams or 56 grams of sugar. So I'm like, okay. Then I did the research. What is the intake of a Black woman, weight 230 pounds, 5'4"? She's already overweight, in taking in sugar. They said she's only allowed 6 grams per day. No, was it 6? It was either 6 grams or 3 grams, something like that. I don't have my numbers right. It's been a minute, but where I had it at, it was like 9 times 6 is 54. So I'm like, Mom, that's like 9 shot glasses of sugar of this much. That means no rice, no bananas, none of the things that are heighten that sugar level, the A1C, right? Bro, little things like that. So what's the difference of a Pepsi, a can of Pepsi versus Hennessy? There's no difference.
Nothing.
It's the same.
100%.
So I don't shame people. I don't judge people. I put the facts in people's face, And I say, you be the judge of yourself. I did my due diligence. I did my job. I gave you the information. That's my job. That's it. You can't force no one to learn. You can't teach everybody that do not want to learn. Only thing you can do is present it to them, and if they take heed to it, then you on to something. That's all.
So it's a few things, right? And I mentioned the alcohol and the cannabis specifically for a reason, because it's like in the colonial context, again,
Yeah.
which is synonymous with the Christian religion,
Right.
those are the things that are typically highlighted and used to shame black and brown people, because it's been harder to regulate how we are using those substances
Right.
as opposed to other substances, right? So, and again, it's what ends up happening a lot of the times is we end up having surface level conversations,
Right.
shaming people for alcohol and cannabis use while using that as a scapegoat to avoid larger conversations that we need to have in our community.
Yeah.
And it's the cannabis thing. No, I think you're 100% spot on. Like what's happening now, and I think the height of it was or is the way cannabis is being laced with fentanyl today.
Yes. Facts.
It's that's the
Absolutely.
extreme of it, but I think it's indicative of a larger concept of, and again, like people, because I still work in the American Baptist churches because that's what I was born into.
Right.
Um, but at the same time, it's there was a time historically when black churches in America looked more like what's happening in Rastafarianism, what's happening in the churches of Shango in the Caribbean, what's
Mm-hmm.
happening in maroon communities, what's happening in those Gullah Geechee communities that um, Zora Neale Hurston speaks about in her anthropology, right? It's and including our relationship with natural cannabis, right? Like these are the things that I think ultimately, like even the black church context that I work in, needs to get back to, right?
Right.
It's those type of activities are typically shamed and used as propaganda to make us demonize those things.
Right. Right.
But at the same time, like what's happening with the cannabis now, they're trying the aesthetic or the euphoria that comes from using cannabis, they're trying to approximate, I think, the sensation that you get from sniffing coke, honestly.
Oh
And
yeah.
again, no judgment. I've never sniffed cocaine or anything like that, but it just seems like from my studies at least, the
Right.
way that the chemicals are being manipulated in the cannabis
Exactly.
in unnatural synthetic ways,
Exactly.
they are trying
Facts.
to approximate
Right.
the sensation that a cocaine oriented high would give you. And it's like when those things are going on, specifically with poor black and brown people in a colonial context, we
Mm.
are more susceptible to fall victim to things like all of the shit you were talking about. Like it's
Right.
the addiction to these things are associated with your physical temple and body breaking
It's,
down at alarming levels. What I will
it's
challenge us is it's like because again I like I'm open about like I smoke weed every single day.
right.
um I as I get older I drink less and less, but and that's more of a preference there. But I think a big part of that is also, and I consult my doctor about these things too, which is another thing, but it has a lot to do with, and in traditional culture we don't distinguish between what's spiritual energy and what's psychological energy, or what's spiritual health and what's mental health. So a lot of us again are like relying on these substances and abusing these substances because we have very poor mental and spiritual health. We have
Right.
very poor mental and spiritual education, and we're using these things to cope. They're not being used as a way to, I think, in the traditional culture, especially like out with the natural ganja, right? As a way to enhance spiritual rituals and practices in communal settings, right? Now we're
Right,
using what was originally a herb, now it's a synthetic chemical
right,
as an escapism method.
right,
It breeds addiction, it breeds broken bodies, it breeds broken minds, which are ultimately broken spirits, right? And it's
right.
like, yo, no, that type of stuff is it's encouraging bad spending habits. It's encouraging economics in ways that are more individualistic as opposed to family and communal orientated. It's not only just self-destructive for the addict, right? It's ultimately like if we analyze it collectively, it's going to be destructive towards the community. And we do need to be
Exactly.
able to talk about these things in constructive ways that are not reliant on colonial systems of education to diagnose and deal with them as problems because again, miseducation of the Negro. The
Wait
system
a
is
minute. Wait.
doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing
Okay,
by
wait a minute.
having us overly reliant as addicts.
Right, stop right there.
Yeah,
So I got to stop you right there because when you said the miseducation, um, it's very difficult to try to turn someone away from something they like to do.
sure, sure.
There's no way you're going to stop an individual that enjoys, if it's drinking, if it's smoking, if it's sex. You're not going to stop them. It's not going to happen. They have to want to stop. You can give all the information and say, you can spell it all out, put it all on the table and say, this is the consequences. Like one of the things that I was teaching in regards to relationships with uh, women and men having children and not staying together, and women getting upset with men saying that, we're equal. If you can have a million women and screw all of them, I can have a million men and screw all of them. And a lot of women do not understand that statement. Like they want to, I can date 10 guys, but what if the 10 guys you dated all got you pregnant and you had 10 kids? What if? What is left for the one person that you said you want to be your husband? So when I have these conversations with women and you spell out to them, you can't, your body's a temple. You can't, you have a child. A man can't have a child. A man do not carry a child for 9 months and be connected with a child, a living being growing inside their body. You know what I mean? It's a whole different atmosphere when it comes to that. And when it comes to, smoking, it's the same thing. I can't say to a person that's an avid smoker and say, you know what, bro, if you're not growing your own weed, bro, you're fucking yourself. If you're not taking the time out to understand that they are using different kind of chemicals and synthetics or whatever to keep you addicted to it, you're screwing yourself. And when it becomes so addictive, and with anybody, that they have to keep doing it, that they go into these dispensaries and they trust the dispensary. These people are about making millions of dollars. It's not about the consumer or the customer. They want to, you have to, hey, you remember Bobo's chicken? Do you remember what they used to do to the chicken?
Yeah,
They used to put sugar in the chicken
yeah,
and it became addictive. They probably gave more people diabetic, insulin shot, whatever, and don't even know where it started at.
yeah, yeah,
But the people kept going back. Whether it's buying the sweet tea, whether it's buying, it doesn't matter. When you get an addiction to anything,
yeah,
that's all I'm trying to spell out. Because no one is perfect. I'm not perfect. You know, I don't eat sweets. I have an addiction to. I drink a green tea, a green tea that I make, and it's sweet. And I try to drink maybe 2 or 3 cups of it a day, and the rest of the day I'm drinking water. I don't drink no other kind of juice. I just like this green tea. I put the ginger in it, and that's all I'm going to drink. But it's an addiction. But what makes me better than the person over here that has their addiction? It doesn't make me better. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make me better. But when you have an addiction and you know there are toxins that can infiltrate your body and your brain and your thought process and disintegrates you slowly, and you know it can happen, why would you continue to do it? Why would you continue to let something eat away at you? If you had a plate of food on the table and you saw a roach run across it, would you still eat the food? If you saw a critter run across your food that you really want to eat, would you eat it? That's a question.
Oh no, absolutely. And it's like I think
Would you eat it?
of course not. But it's
Thank you.
like what I think my point is, like, as long as we are living in a colonial environment, we're not living according to our own rules.
That's a fact.
And like as a religious person, like we tend to deal with it like as a spiritual phenomenon, but it's equally as much a psychological phenomenon.
It is.
And it's like the best word I can use to describe it is frankly like brainwashing, right?
It
It's
is.
yeah, like
Hey,
there's no other way around it. Like we've been convinced to live in ways that are unnatural to who we are as people.
right, right, right. I
Um,
appreciate, man, you know, our communication.
yeah,
Our communication is very effective.
yeah,
Um, People can learn from this, you know. Um, if anyone want to debate this, I mean, I'm not really up for debates. I try to, I try not to be belligerent, man, and go down that path. And I listen to everyone. I want to hear what people have to say, right? But I'm my own worst critic. I'm my own worst critic, and you have to be, man, because like if your parents is not around to give you the guidance and show you ways, and if it's wrong and you can take a step back and reevaluate what's right and what's wrong, hey, go for it.
yeah.
But I appreciate the opportunity on this platform tonight with you to we spoke about a lot of things, man. I'm gonna rip
One
this
hundred
thing,
percent, one
man.
hundred percent.
Edits. We spoke about a lot of things. We spoke about some sensitive things. We spoke about some heavy things. And the only way change can happen, I don't want to say it's going to take a village. It starts with us. We lead by example, you know, and people will come, you know, people will come. People will come to you. You've been very effective in your years of study and your years. Man, I used to charge people to do their thesis reports, bro, and I would make money off of that. And I became addicted to that because I figured it out. I figured it out, man. I used to help people do their practicums.
Yeah,
I became addicted to that, and people I grew up with would never know that. All they knew was, oh, yo, that dude right there is wild. They didn't see the other side of me in the lab. They didn't see the other side of me, that I build apps and I do coding, and they didn't see that side of me. They didn't see that side, like right now, CapCut picked me up to do video designs on their platform, and I do overlays over there, and it's not $1 million business, but I'm there. They came for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't ask for it. They came
right.
for me. And I just want you to know that I appreciate, your journey. I appreciate, man, at your age, your wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding. Um, those are main factors that you need as a man: knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And even as a minister, I appreciate those facts, man, because these are trials and tribulations, man,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
have to stand before to get to that point to even utter the words of a minister. You got dudes out here that utter words that they're ministers and that they pastors, and they can't. You have It's time to show and prove.
That's real rap.
Show and
Real
prove, man,
talk.
who you are, man.
Real
Who's
talk.
rallying behind you? Who's supporting you?
Yeah.
What differences are you making in your community? What different? There's so much we have to talk about, Q, or talk to, not talk
Absolutely.
about. Talk to. We have to talk to it. And I'm going. I would love. We've been on for about an hour and a half now,
Oh yeah.
bro. We flowing,
Yeah.
and yeah, I got some dinner on the other side of this thing, man.
Oh,
And
most deaf.
dude, bro, you probably ate already. Did you eat?
No, I'm about to go back and warm up some leftovers right now, man.
Right. But I wanna get back on here again with you again, man. You tell
Oh,
me
most
when.
definitely.
We could rock out, bro. I don't care if we get on here 30 minutes, man, and we choose different topics and we just go at it, man. Not go at it, but build on it.
I
You
love
know,
it, man.
and I love your enlightenment, and you're a fruit of knowledge, man. You're
I'm
very
trying to
fruitful.
be, brother. I appreciate you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man, and I respect it, man, and I appreciate it, and I honor it, man. It's a pleasure to meet. I'm very humble to who you have become. Well, I don't want to say become because you always been who you are,
Oh
and you
man.
just stepped into the. Yeah, bro. Yeah, yeah. I'm real with this, man. You just grew a beard. You just grew a beard, man. And I see you got your hair growing, man. It's all good,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hair growing, man. I'm sitting on my head, bro. I got to keep pulling it from under my behind, man. My
Oh
thing is
man.
all
Oh
the way
man.
down there, bro.
I don't know if I'm gonna get that long. I might trim before I get down there, man. That's
I'm gonna get that. Just keep on going, man.
yeah.
You just keep on going, man. And I really hope you enjoyed the time with me tonight, man.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna I'm going to promote this stream. I'm going to
Oh, for
promote.
sure.
You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it in my story. I'm gonna chop it up. You're gonna be like, oh, he did that. Oh, I get wild with it, bro. I'm gonna
Oh,
have
I
fun.
can't wait. Oh, it's turning, man. Listen, I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm gonna get wild with it, man. So whenever you want to build, man, let's do
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
know, and I just love the dialogue and where you at.
Absolutely.
It wasn't
This
on.
was
It
so
wasn't on.
rich.
I'm sorry.
This was so rich. This was such a rich dialogue. So yeah, I'm coming
Yeah,
back. We definitely coming back for this.
bro. Yeah, man. Your intellect, man, is I told you, man. Walking black Google. I was about to pull this. Yeah, I was about to pull this thing out, man. But I was there. I understood what you were saying.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't. Oh man, I appreciate you,
Understood the
dog.
language, man. So I need you, man. They say iron sharpens iron, man.
That's real
And
rap.
around people that's not taking the time out to re-educate themselves. I always say to my peers that I grew up with, and they come to me with that ghetto jargon and nonsense. I say, let
Yeah.
me reintroduce myself, brother. Let
Yeah.
me reintroduce myself now, because you need to understand who I am and what I'm about. And I may say some things that might hurt you. And if it do hurt you, you are free to go. You are free to go, because I'm gonna stand on this, man. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah.
I gotta
Real rap.
stand on this, man. And I like what you standing on, man. You're honest, man. And I can only do nothing but hold utmost respect for honesty. You know what
Real
I
rap.
mean? Utmost respect. I know your parents got to be very proud of you, man. Your family got to be proud of you, man. Just keep on doing what you're doing, bro. You know,
Will do, my brother.
I don't know. Are you giving scholarships out to kids, bro?
Am I giving scholarships out to kids? Not at this time. So I'm
It's not
still.
a joke, man. It's not a joke.
Nah, man. No, listen. I'm still in school myself. So any scholarships that you want to send my way, are more
No.
than welcome.
See, let me tell you, that's one of the ways of thinking we have to change,
Yeah.
because okay, See, I was trying to shut this down, but you went there, man. Okay, you with the information that you have, right? You can provide a service in the community, whether you do it online, because you said you was doing a podcast online.
Yeah.
Uh, Black studies, all the studies, man. I'm quite sure. Were you an AP student? Were you a 4.0?
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Okay, so don't let it go to waste, bro. Get your notes, pull them back out, and start giving the course, bro. Teach,
Real rap.
teach,
Real
and,
rap.
there's I can assist you in your business structure. There's grants out there for you, but not
Bingo.
minority business entity, the MBE.
That's what I'm talking. Okay.
There's
Yeah.
money for you, bro, because
Yeah.
you probably owe $200,000 in student loan.
Not that much. Oh, absolutely not that much. No.
Oh, okay.
But I feel you. Yeah. Nah. I ain't that. Nah, not like that. It ain't like that.
Oh,
Nah.
okay. Well, okay.
But that's pretty
It's
common though. But that's pretty common
yes,
for people that have as
yeah.
much education as me. Yeah.
Right. You became a lifer as a student, man. You were an educational lifer. You were a student in life,
Yeah.
and all the education, and like you're a professional student, bro. You know what I'm saying? And you've been to Temple, you've been to Yale, you've been all over the place, bro. And then you've been working in the system, bro. That's a good record. That's a good resume. And with that resume comes grants. And with grants, you have to, like we talk about those other people, but a lot of times we have to be careful when we talk about them. I'm not saying be fearful of them because they control the what? The money.
Wealth. Yeah.
And in order for us to function, we can be ignorant and say, fuck this bullshit. I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and we'll come up short. But when these banks are saying, hey, we got 50,000, we got 250,000, and you meet all the requirements in your business structure, and then they go down the chain and find out, oh, he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And guess what? We get ostracized, we get pushed to the side. That's been happening to me for a long time. I've been getting pushed to the side because the way that the level of thinking, I wasn't articulating it to the world. I was showing the world. That I could take $100,000 from you. I could take 250, 400,000 from you. So now the way you can spank me, you're going to put me in your system and ship me all over the place thinking that I was going to break. But you didn't know I was trained to survive there in the streets of where we come from. I was trained to survive there. So I was already prepped and didn't even know I was getting prepped for that.
Right.
So I went through there like a soldier, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
And they tried to spank me, and that goes back to what is it called? Willie Lynch. Goes back to Willie Lynch. And that's why they take us, man, and they parade us and they do the things that they do to us, and a person like you, man, you have to be protected. You have to be protected, man. You're like the Oracle, man. You saw that in the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
The Oracle, man, behind the scene, bro. And a lot of times big things can happen behind the scene.
No, that's real rap. Yeah.
A lot of things, man. You could be vocal, but be careful.
Absolutely.
You could be vocal, but be careful. Because there's plenty of money for you. There's plenty of money. I'm not saying tap dance to their game. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. You know who you are. You pro at it, but you still need that bread. I don't know the lifestyle that you're living or how you want to live, the comfortable lifestyle, or if you want to live off the grid, if you want to do solar panels, you ain't making the solar panels. You ain't making the wind tunnels. You ain't making, bro. How far do you want to go? So there's different levels. If you want to live in a mansion, you can live in a mansion. If you want to be middle class, you can be middle class. If you want to live in a project, you can live in a project. If you want to live off the grid, you could be wherever you want to be. But you got to protect your best interest, which is your mind. And if you don't protect your mind from the lower level of the vampires, you a minister. There's vampires out here, bro. You know that, right? They're all over social media.
Absolutely.
You ever saw that movie? Who are what? They're like aliens, right? And the only time you can see their face is when you put the shades on.
Yeah, yeah.
What was the name of that movie?
I can't
Rodney
remember. I know what you're talking about.
Rodney Piper, the wrestler. I think he was a star in that movie.
Ah, I know what you're talking about. I can't recall the name of it.
Who are they? We are them, or something, man. But
Something like that.
that's what society is today.
Mhm.
Bro, you put the shade, people won't even understand what you're talking about. They get mad at you. You have to dumb it down just so you can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that?
Oh, 100%, all the time.
Just so you can have a conversation. And then if you have to backtrack and explain, everybody's not doing their homework. Everybody's not taking the time out to study. Everybody's not taking the time out. Like we said something so small as the difference of renting and having a mortgage. You don't own something when you have a mortgage.
Yeah.
You don't own a car when you're paying a lease or you're financing. You don't own I got my new car. Oh, look at my new car. It looked like an $80,000 car to me. You got $80,000? Oh, it's the bank's car. But we get so blindsided, like you said, bro. You said it. You said a lot of points that I stamped. You said a lot of points that I stamped, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I want to let you know that I hear you. I hear you, and I keep sitting on my head, man. I apologize. That's what I do. I keep sitting on it, and this chair is so comfortable, though, man. This thing, man, is like a couch.
Yeah.
This chair is a couch, bro. I love it. Yeah. But you said so many important things, man. I can't wait to get to the video, to edit these things, man, and start just pushing it around, and we have fun with it. If we do get rich, I'll break bread with you.
Oh,
If
my
not,
brother.
on playing this lottery game, man, get a ticket. People swear I'm rich, man. I'm broke. You know, I just clean up, go to work, clean up again, go back to work. But the only thing, man, I don't want to say that I work for myself. I work for the people that pay me. You know what I'm saying? You pay me, I work for you. You know, I'm not even an entrepreneur. People, my kids tell me, "Dad, you an entrepreneur?" No, I'm not. I don't have an employee business account where I can pay them. You know, one person. If I paid a person, if I said, "Hey Q, I need you on my payroll. I'm gonna pay you $50,000 a year," right? That means I need to have $50,000 in my payroll account.
Yeah.
So if I got two of you, that's 100,000. I need two of you on my bank account. People don't look at this. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm the CEO, bro. Let's talk about this payroll account, bro. What you mean payroll account? How many employees you have? Oh, I got 10. Okay, so you have 10 employees. What type of insurances do you have for your employees, bro? I'm interested in knowing. I know insurance is very expensive. I know I try to go between the back door, hide under the curtain, and don't tell them everything that I'm capable of doing, just so I can get a little piece of the pie. Just a little piece, Q.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't look at these things, man. And in school, they're not teaching us this, man. They're not saying to us, you need to have a payroll account, bro.
Yeah.
How much work you got over there for your employees, bro? Or you just winging it? Or you just winging it?
Yeah. It's miseducation, man. Yeah.
So give me some closing statement, man, before we sign off, bro.
Listen, man, I can't wait to come back on the platform. A lot of good conversations that we started here that
Right.
definitely need to be continued. I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to building, looking forward to expanding the scope here, because this is super important work, and it's just always good to speak with you, brother, for real.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it, man. So I'm gonna hit you with this. We're gonna go out with some good vibes, man.
Oh yeah.
Some high energy, man. Hey, listen, man. I'm gonna hit you in your inbox tomorrow, man. So we can schedule another day, and we're gonna invite some friends and family so they can get in the chat room with us and ask us some questions. And we go there. How you like that?
Looking forward to it, brother.
Brother.
Good
Much
night,
love.
my man.